Oh, my legs are absolutely cooked today from yesterday's Sunday long run. But today in the UK is the release of the 25th version of the gel Nimbus from ASICS. Now ASICS have kindly sent me out the gel Nimbus 25 to test and to share with you my first impressions today. I've been testing it over the last few weeks. You may have seen it on my Instagram, teased in that all white colourway. That was the mystery shoe, and I can reveal it's now on my feet in the colourway, the release colourway of the blue and orange gel Nimbus. So far I've run about 50 kilometres in this daily trainer designed for neutral foot strikers, and a bit of a spoiler, I'm really enjoying it so far. At this point in the testing for me, I don't know anything about the shoe's statistics or features. In today's video I'm going to share with you what I do know so far, go over my first impressions, some likes and dislikes, and finally compare this shoe to some of the shoes that are already on the market and where I think this fits in to my shoe rotation. So I just got back from my morning run, 12 kilometres today, nice and easy at 4:40 per kilometre pace. In the gel Nimbus 25, I'm really enjoying that shoe so far. As I was saying, I don't know the specific stats and features. They come out this afternoon when the shoe is released to the general public. But when they do come out, I'll leave them in the comments. I'll pin it with things like the drop, the weight, the official weight of the shoe, and the stack height, all of those stats and features if that's something that you're into. I'm just having my classic recovery meal after my morning run, which is scrambled egg on toast. It really kickstarts the recovery and something I like to prioritise, especially when I'm marathon training. I'm currently training for the Osaka Marathon at the end of February, so yeah, really looking forward to that. But yeah, let's jump into what I do know so far about the gel Nimbus 25 and some of my first impressions. So here it is, the ASICS gel Nimbus 25 in their campaign colourway. It looks a little bit different now it's in colour compared to when it was completely white. But from first impressions, it's a complete redesign of the gel Nimbus lineup from ASICS. This is their 25th edition. I tried the 24th, and yeah, this one feels completely different, a complete redesign to its predecessor. When I first saw the shoe in the pure white colorway, I thought maybe ASICS had completely got rid of the gel component that's found traditionally in this daily trainer. But written on the side of it here, it says pure gel, and on closer inspection, I think there's still some sort of gel pod built into this midsole. I noticed from the step-in feel, it feels really like jelly-like and soft and squishy in this heel area. It seems to sort of firm up a little bit towards the front, so I expect ASICS have still kept that gel aspect to the Nimbus, but it's just currently in that heel area, which just offers you a little bit more comfort and step-in feel. And I noticed that when I was out running as well. It just feels a little bit softer towards the rear of this shoe than it does in the forefoot. From my initial measurements, I think this is going to fall into the maximal cushioned category. I predict there's around 38mm of stack height in the heel, dropping 8mm to around 30mm in the forefoot. Now ASICS don't measure the midsole stack height in their shoes with the insoles inserted, so I expect when the stats do come out, it will suggest it's a little bit lower. But it certainly feels like a max cushioned shoe out there on the roads, and I really found it nice and protective from the pavement. For the midsole here, we have FF Blast Plus, which is probably my favourite foam that ASICS do for their midsoles. It's a really nice balance, as I was saying, between being soft for those daily miles, nice and protective, especially if you're someone like me who's currently marathon training. Legs are always feeling a little bit tired. To have that nice soft cushion feel underfoot is really pleasant in this one. But it's also a really nice bouncy midsole as well, so it makes those sort of daily miles that little bit more interesting, nice and fun. It's not your average boring daily trainer. Now I just quickly put the shoe on the scales and it came in at 290 grams in my UK 7.5. minus say 5 grams for the debris that this shoe's picked up a little bit over the course of my testing. I reckon it's around 285 grams, which is not a lightweight shoe, but it's certainly not on the heavy side of things for a daily trainer. It's probably where I would expect most daily trainers to fit in, maybe slightly on the heavier end of the spectrum if I had to categorize it. But that is mainly due to that amount of stack height you've got in this shoe, nice and protective midsole, and also a good amount of rubberized coverage. Just for reference, the ASICS Metaspeed Edge in my UK 7.5 weighs just under 200 grams. So the Nimbus 25 is that 85, 90 grams heavier than the racing shoe, but for a daily trainer focused on comfort, I think that's just about right. On to the outsole of this shoe, we have the AHA Plus rubber, which is ASICS high abrasion rubber. And from my previous shoe, the 24, that was built really, really well. I think ASICS are known as a company for building shoes to last, and that's no exception here with the Gel Nimbus 25. I've ran 50 kilometers in it, and there's pretty much no signs of wear, especially on these hardened areas of AHA Plus rubber. So I expect this to be a really, really durable daily trainer. It's going to be able to handle my marathon training, no problem. One other thing I've noticed about the 25 compared to the 24 is the trussock, which was a little bit of plastic that was found in the Gel Nimbus 24, which offered a little bit of support, has now been removed. And that is to my happiness. I actually found that the plastic was causing my arch a little bit of irritation in the Gel Nimbus 24, and as someone who's a neutral running, wears neutral running shoes, I don't need any support there, so I'm glad to see that is no longer a feature in the 25. Moving on to the upper of this shoe, I think this is where this shoe really, really shines above the rest in terms of that daily trainer category. We've got a sock-like mesh upper, a fully gusseted tongue, very, very stretchy, and you can get a really good lockdown on top with these eyelet chains. Overall, I would give the upper of this shoe a 10 out of 10. It's probably one of the most comfortable daily trainers that I have tried in a long, long time, if not ever. The toe box here, there's plenty of room for your toes to spread out. As you can see here, there's a little bit of structure. It just allows your toes to breathe and spread out a little bit, which is what I like on my easy days. Moving on to my first impressions, I thought I would separate these into my likes and dislikes. We'll start with the likes. As I was saying, this upper is really, really good, and the main plus point of this shoe is just how comfortable it is. The combination of that really soft but bouncy midsole and that super comfortable plush upper make this a real delight for those easy miles. Another one of my likes has been the ride in this shoe. There's a real nice rocker geometry when landing in this shoe, and I think it's because of that midsole. It's a nice soft protective midsole, but it also has that bounce, which, as I said, just keeps those daily miles that little bit more interesting. And finally, the major plus point of this shoe is the tongue, the lockdown, and this heel area. So much padding, super, super comfortable, and yeah, I've been sort of gravitating towards this when my legs are feeling a little bit beaten up, and my feet are feeling a little bit sore because it is just so comfortable. Moving on to some of my dislikes. One of my only concerns of the Gel Nimbus 25 is the weight. I personally would like to have seen it maybe 20 grams lighter if possible, because then I think it would have sort of been a good option for tempo work. At the moment, at 290 grams in my UK size 7.5, I think it's mainly going to be for those easy miles, some longer runs, maybe up to say 20 miles for me in my training, but I probably wouldn't take this to do any speed work just because of that weight being a bit of a limiting factor. And my only other downside at the moment is the outsole on this shoe. It looks like it's going to be really, really durable, and on the dry roads it was really good. But when the road was a little bit wet and a little bit muddy at the moment, I found it a little bit slippery, but for your average road running is no problem at all. But if you're going out on the trails, I probably would advise avoiding the trails if it has been wet. If they're dry, then there's no problem at all. There's plenty of coverage on here. But yeah, there are the main downsides to this shoe. Overall though, I have to say ASICS have really designed a great daily trainer here. So looking at the Gel Nimbus 25, I was trying to think, where does that sort of fit into my shoe rotation at the moment? And for me, it's going to be on those easy recovery days. It really reminds me of this shoe, the Nike Invincible, which I know is a big favourite of people, and I've also really enjoyed it. The shoes have some definite similarities. The sort of cushioning that both these shoes have, especially in that heel area, is very, very similar. So the fit on top is very, very comfortable in both these shoes. The midsole, again, feels very similar in terms of how protective it is when you're out there on the run, which is going to make this shoe a great recovery day shoe. Yeah, very similar in terms of how these fit into my shoe rotation, and I think, yeah, Nike is going to have a real competitor with the gel Nimbus 25 when it comes to looking at for a daily mileage shoe. So to conclude this first impressions, I can see this gel Nimbus 25 becoming my go-to easy day shoe. It's clearly built to last and to withstand the mileage that I plan to put into it, and it's also extremely comfortable, which is exactly what I look for in my daily mileage shoes. I'll give you an update when I've run a little bit more in this shoe after 100, 200 miles. But until next time, aspire to run, run to inspire, and we'll see you again soon.